Welcome to Tanakh Talk. I am your host, William Hall, broadcasting live out of Kingsland, Texas, USA, for another episode of TNT, the Twisted New Testament with Rabbi Stuart Federow from Houston, Texas. Welcome, Rabbi, to the show. And welcome
Always good to be here.
And welcome all you viewers out there. It's a pleasure to finally see you all again. Haha. We can see you, sort of. We can see that you're there, or you're going to be there. So it's good to be back.
Got to be there. To be there in the morning. Okay, I can't do the falsetto anymore.
That's funny. Somebody's in a good mood. You're always in a good mood, though.
I try to be.
You just singing good moods we enjoy listening to. So that's cool, man. That's cool. Well, I'll tell you what, it's been a good week for us here too. Very busy, my gosh. It's been a nonstop something or other. That is for sure. And so, how are you doing up there in the Big H? Because I know there's a lot of people, a lot of news.
A lot of people
images.
had major problems, and a lot of people got very, very lucky. We got very lucky. My synagogue had roof leaks. Okay, but we always get roof leaks, and these were maybe a little bit more water to drip in, but it's roof leaks. It's not flooding.
Right.
But 3-4 congregations that I know of got flooding. I mean, like flooding, like wiped out their sanctuary kind of
How
flooding.
about that? Wow.
So it's it's such a dice game on who got what. It's so random. It's our house on our street never floods, but the street in front of our house never fills with water. This time it not only filled with water, it got halfway up to our doorstep. So, and the houses on our street, which rarely if ever flood, a lot of them flooded. So wow. It's just crazy. So,
well, I'm glad that your location, your dwelling place was unaffected.
Well, thank God.
Yeah,
we've had congregants who were flooded out, but very few.
Right.
Like maybe a half a dozen to a dozen, somewhere in there.
Gotcha. So, how many people are in your congregation?
We have about 150 families. Very small by Houston standards, but it's about 150 families.
Wow, that's pretty big in my standards.
Well, no. Remember, this is families, not individual units.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's not small.
Yeah.
That's rather large, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
But, there's a very interesting aspect that I don't know if you've noticed. And since our topic is New Testament stuff and really comparative religion, William, have you heard any minister of any denomination say that this flood was some sort of punishment?
I have actually heard that in times past. That was
exactly my point.
Yeah, in times
exactly
past.
My point. Texas tends to be very evangelical Christian. Okay, it tends to be very Southern Baptist or very Roman Catholic.
Okay.
But the point is very Christian. They tend to vote their Christian values, their Christian, approach to things, conservative values. And there's nobody who will point to us and to Houston and say that, like if New York gets it, you'll have these ministers who will say, oh, well, it's, the liberal New Yorkers. Okay, if it's pick a state, Florida, well, it's those liberal, but nobody's saying that about us, okay, because they can't.
Right.
If they say it about Houston, with like the second largest church in the United States, I think is here. A lot of mega churches here. It's like, if you say that a hurricane is God's wrath on a people every other time, don't you think you should also be saying it about this? And they don't.
Interesting. Yeah.
This is like, okay, let's not look at this one. Okay.
Because
keep moving.
we're in the middle of it.
Forget Hurricane Harvey. Just keep moving. Go on.
Right.
Yeah, you see what I mean?
Yeah, it's not just cherry picking scripture, but cherry picking their theology as well.
Yes, exactly. They're cherry picking how they apply their theology.
Yeah, right.
That's why I always say that if you have a theology, you better choose a theology very carefully, because it'll paint you into a corner you'll never get out of.
Right, very true.
If they say it's God's wrath, on these other places, then why isn't it also God's wrath on us?
Yeah, that's true.
They can't. True. They won't.
Yeah, there's.
I just think that's a very interesting aspect of this. I don't know if you noticed that, but I haven't heard one person say that.
Right. Yeah, so I see why you pointed out the way I said it was in past events.
Right.
You're right, meaning that you're right. It's really interesting. I never thought about why I haven't heard them this time, but I've heard it in past events just about every time. So.
Exactly.
Wow.
And they can't do it about us because we're them.
Yeah, right.
By and large, Houston is them. So they're not going to say it about their own.
Right.
I just thought that was interesting. So
that is interesting. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, the phone lines are open, and by
the way, there's no chat.
I'm trying to see. Hold on, let me see. I've got too many screens up. I need to bring some stuff down. Actually, I see the chat just fine. Hi, Fernando Colon, Delane Davis, EVW, Jacob Daniel, Julie Taylor, Lori Cash. Hope I didn't miss anybody. There's some other people. Don is here.
On the chat?
Yeah, in live chat, yeah.
I don't have it on YouTube.
Refresh your screen and see, or are you sure it's not blinded by the bent
Oh, there
screen?
it is. It came up.
Okay, good.
Nice little trick about refreshing the screen. That was cool. Okay.
That's funny. Yeah, so that's cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys want to call, give us a call. Why did this thing download? I just said no. This is good enough. My Ring Central has been trying to download an update for the past 6 months, and I keep saying no. I think I accidentally hit the yes button, and it's downloading the new update now. So apparently I'm not signed in yet. So, but 855-952-4253 will be the number you want to call when that time comes. And so what I'd like to do right now, from this moment.
By the way, EVW, welcome.
Okay, let's see what you got here. Ladies and gentlemen, this book, you need to get it. It's really, really cool. Judaism, Christianity, A Contrast, by some crazy rabbi out of Houston, I think. I think his name might be...
Lori, you're totally correct.
Federow.
Somehow Wyoming never gets hurricanes. I wonder how that is.
That's interesting. Oh, I taped the book shut. I taped your book shut.
You taped it shut?
Yes, I did. You know why? Because I use it as a display on the shelf, and we've been flipping through it so much that the cover actually curls up and it won't sit straight. So I had to tape it so it stayed flat as a display item.
Funny.
So I need to get another one of your books to read and one for the display.
I'd be happy to send it to you.
Hey, send me more. I've already given away most of those.
No, definitely I'll send you some.
Yeah, those are pretty cool. Let's see. What else was I going to say? I think. Okay, it looks like we're done. Please don't mess with my recording. Okay, install later. Ooh, I get an install later option. Okay, we are officially logged in. 855-952-4253. Please do call us now and just say hello, because we would like to hear from you. If you got any questions or concepts or topics that you'd like to discuss, that would be kind of cool. I posted something on Facebook. People do. I know you guys do not just call in to hear me and Rabbi just talk in conversation. Like what are those reality shows where they have like video cameras and they follow this family around, just watch their daily lives?
Big Brother or one of those.
Yeah, or Crisley knows best, that sort of a thing. So I know this is not why they tune in here. So you better give us a question on chat or something. Rabbi, I'm going to assign you to chat. So
by the way, William, do you know this gentleman, Dor Leon Attar?
No.
He is a rising star of South America. Dor, I think Brazil, if I remember correctly, in the counter-Christian missionary community.
Oh, interesting. Wow, welcome to the show, for sure. Very cool. Kelsey Lynn's, good to see you. Again, John Weissman is here. Jay Messi is here.
Fernando, I agree. I'd love to have a Spanish version of Judaism and Christianity, A Contrast. And there's a gentleman, David, can't think of his last name, I'm horrible with names, who offered to translate it for me, but I don't know how far along he is. But believe me, I'd love to get a Spanish version out.
All right, we just got our first caller. Apparently, I need to figure out my camera shake, because when I reach over the turn of the thing, I kind of block your head. Hey, welcome to the show. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from.
Hi, William. This is Fernando from South Carolina.
Fernando, welcome, my brother. How are you?
Good. I'm glad that you guys got a show tonight.
Yes, me too.
Thank you. Me too.
I was beginning to wonder, man. We tried to record like 5 times and it kept crashing. I was like, not the computer, but the software kept freezing up. And I was like, oh my gosh, please. So I'm doing some process of elimination. I think I may know what's causing it, but I still have to let it crash about 6 more times to confirm that. But so hey, keep us in your prayers for clarity. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Good. William,
Yes.
I want to ask the rabbi a question.
Yes, go for
but
it.
Before that, I want to beg the rabbi, please, Rabbi Federow, we need the Spanish version of Judaism and Christianity a contrast. Please.
Fernando, I just saw your comment, and while you were probably dialing the phone is when I responded. I agree with you. I'd love to get a translation out in Spanish. There's a gentleman, I still can't think of his last name, David, I can't remember. Okay, at any rate, who's tells me he's been working on it for months, but I don't know how far along he is. So I agree with you. I'd love to get a Spanish translation out there, but until he finishes a translation, because unfortunately I don't know Spanish. So I rely on somebody else. He's also supposed to translate it into French. Hasn't done that yet either.
So what do you need to make that happen? You just need, Rabbi, the actual...
I need someone to take the text and translate it.
And then give it back to you, and then you take care of publishing?
They can either give it back to me, or maybe they have Spanish publishing companies who publish in Spanish. I have never... This David gentleman says that he knows exactly who can publish it in Spanish.
Nice.
Nice. I don't know that the iUniverse that I published with even has the Spanish lettering, like a tilde over the to make it enye, and I don't know I have no idea. I've never investigated it. So,
interesting. Cool. Well, thank you.
That's fair enough.
Thank you, Fernando. Do you want to leave us with a question, or you just want to leave us with a smile?
Yes, definitely, yes.
Okay.
The reason why I called is because for those of us who are getting closer to Judaism, I've been following for so far like 6-7 years, and but I don't know much about keeping kosher. And what would be the baby steps for those of us that are getting closer to Judaism? How we can start little by little to keep kosher and kosherize our kitchens and our instruments.
Okay, absolutely.
That's my question.
Okay, thank you, Fernando.
All right.
Okay.
I want to hang up.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
Fernando,
real quickly before you answer that, people, when you call in, if somebody's already called in and they're actually engaged in talking, if you call in, I cannot answer your phone call. So if you notice somebody is already in connection with us, or you see, I'll put up a tag on the screen that says caller on. Don't call during that time, because I will not be able to take your call. You're just going to have to either leave a voicemail. We may or may not ever get to it. There's like hundreds of voicemails I have never even seen yet. So just be prepared to either wait until the phone lines free up, or just plan on leaving us a message, and I'll do my best to come back and actually listen to them. And sometimes I may answer your phone call, and you may sit listening to Rabbi and I talk for 10 or 15 minutes until we're finished with that topic before we actually invite you into the call. So just keep that in mind. So, Rabbi, go ahead with that. But before you do, let me ask you additional, I guess you could say, refinement on that. My thought would be, I'm guessing that's for someone who's seriously considering or has already decided they're going to convert. So they're wanting to get the ball rolling, I'm supposing. Because I know, halakhically the rules are different for the ones who have no intentions of converting to Judaism. So,
right, but that's the difference.
Yeah. So that's cool. This will be a good. What's really funny about this, Fernando, that was really cool, because as we were talking about the flood earlier, I was thinking, hey, maybe we could talk about the flood again, like in the Mabul, in the Hebrew scriptures, and when they introduced meat, and where there was confusion about clean and unclean animals, what they're for. So it's kind of nice. We may just kind of trickle this whole episode on. Let's begin into the caller. So I'm going to pass it along to you, and we're going to kick this off, and then we'll kind of bounce back and forth. I'll have the scriptures, the text on screen when we need it. So let's do this.
Okay. So first, let me say this, and I learned this when I was probably about 8 or 9 years old. And B'nai B'rith is an international men's organization. It created the Anti-Defamation League. It created the B'nai B'rith Youth Organization, BBYO. And then those entities split off from the original mother organization, I guess you'd call it. But they used to have a convention in Missouri at Roaring River State Park, which is a beautiful area. And the Chabad rabbi of St. Louis, when I was 8 or 9 years old, was the major speaker. And he used to tell these stories. And he told the following story, and I'm going to make it a little bit more modern, but the idea and the original example is exactly the same, but it's about McDonald's, and McDonald's has added to their menu since then, obviously. But he told the following story. He said the disciples of the Rebbe were going to try to stump the Rebbe, ask him a question that was so difficult he couldn't answer, or trap him, with a question. And they came to the Rebbe and they asked the Rebbe the following question. They said there is a 613 runged ladder, a ladder with 613 rungs, steps on it. There is someone near the top. There is someone near the bottom. Who in the eyes of God is higher? Now, if you follow the analogy, what he's saying, what the question is about, is that the 613 rung ladder represents the 613 mitzvot, commandments, okay, God gave to Moses at Sinai, found in the Torah scrolls, okay. The person near the top is someone doing many or most. The one near the bottom is doing some but not many. Okay, so the question is who in the eyes of God is higher? So the Rebbe thinks about it and he says, well, if I say the one who's at the top, it denies the heights reached by the one at the bottom. Am I supposed to, insult the man for the heights that he's reached?
Right.
Maybe that's even higher than he's normally capable, and it's really a stretch for him. Okay, but it's silly to say the one at the bottom because it's obvious that the one at the top is higher than the one at the bottom by definition. So the Rebbe doesn't say anything. So the students, the disciples think they have him. They think they got him. And so they ask him, Rebbe, what's the matter? And the Rebbe says, well, I'm waiting for you to tell me the rest of the question. And the students say, wait, we did tell you the whole story. There's a ladder, 613 rungs on the ladder, someone near the top, someone near the bottom. Who in the eyes of God is higher? And the Rebbe says, but you have not told me which one's moving upwards.
That's a really good point.
In other words,
yeah, right.
People can find their place on the ladder and feel very complacent. But what's the purpose of the ladder? The purpose of the ladder, the mitzvot, is to help us reach towards God. Okay, not like the Tower of Babel, but the point is that it's supposed to help us have a relationship with God, because it's God who commands these 613 commandments.
Yeah. So
wherever you are on the ladder, you're supposed to be making yourself higher on the ladder or more secure on the ladder, so that maybe you do a mitzvah, but maybe you can do it more strictly or more, apply it in more places. Mm-hmm. Okay. So keep that in mind when I tell you the following. Okay. When it comes to keeping kosher, there's a dichotomy that people usually say, which I'm not comfortable with, frankly, but they'll say, well, there's biblical kosher and then there's rabbinic kosher. No, there's kosher. Okay, but even the most orthodox of orthodox rabbis will understand that there are different standards, and that every community has its own standards. Look, I'll tell you something. I'm in Houston, Texas. We're lucky enough to have a large enough community that keeps kosher that we have a kashrut association. And I happen to know that there are probably, or at least there were, because I haven't talked to them in a long time, but Our paths haven't crossed in a long time, but there used to be someone who, on behalf of the city, using the city standards, give a hechsher, a seal of approval that the product is in fact kosher, or the restaurant is in fact kosher. He would give them their seal of approval, but he himself personally would not eat there. Why? Because his standards were higher than the standards of the city. On behalf of the city, he would say, yes, they are kosher, but he himself would not eat there because his personal standards were higher than the city's. So understand that this is we wrestle with God. What does that mean to wrestle? We determine where we are in the ladder. We try to make ourselves higher up. We elevate ourselves, get closer to God, not physically, but spiritually, by being on the ladder, recognizing we have a ladder.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, so the question is of keeping kosher, okay, for someone who is thinking about conversion to Judaism, or who's on the road, doesn't know when, but down the road will keep kosher. Yes, there really are steps you can take to ease yourself into it. As I say when I talk to my students about this story from this Hasidic Rebbe from St. Louis, okay, is you have a ladder, and it's 613 rungs tall. But if you try to reach too high on the ladder, you will fall off, and you will wind up hating the ladder.
Right.
You'll resent it. You'll say you'll do too much. You get frustrated with it. You won't like it because you haven't slowly eased yourself into it, and then you'll resent it. Okay, don't do that.
Right.
Ease yourself into it. And even though I don't really like the dichotomy between biblically kosher and rabbinically kosher, it's kosher.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But yes, the first step I think you really need to take is to eliminate from your diet all pork and pork products and all shellfish and shellfish products. Number one, absolutely. Okay. Biblical Leviticus 11, right there. Okay. Some people will say, oh, but I love the taste of bacon. Remember something. Taste has nothing to do with this. Okay. God is not stupid. God knows that we will love the tastes of food. Because, believe me, God provides bacon even for Christians. Okay, God doesn't just provide the Jews with food. God provides an atheist with food. All food comes from the hand of God.
Sure.
So, what's the point? The issue is not I like it, but I don't like it. So because I don't like it, it's easier for me. No, that's not how it works. The issue is discipline. By giving a human being a discipline, God knows that the person is more likely to succeed at many things if he or she is disciplined in one thing. Oh, why are you Jews so, you're all wealthy, the stereotypes, okay?
Right.
You're also smart, okay? Well, our religion does things for us, gives us benefits that if we follow those things, we will be not better than anybody else, but we might be better off than anybody else because we are doing God's commandments, and the commandments have an effect on us.
Sure.
Well, okay, William, am I making sense here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
sorry.
That's okay. I had a thought, but I already forgot what it was.
I'm sorry. Okay,
okay.
sorry. That's because I'm talking too long. It's supposed to be a dialogue between you and me. Okay, but at any rate, the point is that you take steps. The first step, no pork or anything from pig, and no shellfish. Whether you love it or not, that's not the point. The point is to discipline yourself. Nothing on this earth makes us relate to God faster than food, than eating. Okay. It is the single most base drive of the human person because it sustains the body. Mm-hmm. Okay, no body, no mind. You have to have the body. Okay, ain't kemach, ain't Torah. If you don't have bread, you won't be able to have Torah. How can you study if your stomach is rumbling?
Gotcha.
Okay, all right. At any rate, the point is that when the Rebbe was in in Roaring River State Park when I was 8 or 9 years old, he went on to say the following. He said, you go into a McDonald's, okay, do you have to get the cheeseburger? Yes, I know the meat is not kosher anyway, but do you have to get a cheeseburger? Even though the meat is not kosher anyway, get just the hamburger.
Right.
At least the conscious choice of being on the ladder and separating milk from meat. Now, in the modern period, because this is tells you how long ago it's been since I've been 8 or 9, gray hair. I would go on to say, do you have to have the bacon cheeseburger?
Right.
It's
Make
better.
it triple
It's
bad.
better to have the cheeseburger than to have the bacon cheeseburger, because you're at least acknowledging God, who says don't eat the pig, even if you are combining not only meat with milk but non-kosher meat with milk.
True.
To which I would say, and I'm again just repeating what this Chabad rabbi of St. Louis said when I was 8 or 9. Do you have to get the cheeseburger? Get only the hamburger. Do you have to get the hamburger? Get the fish. Now I can say, do you have to get the fish? Get a salad. There are always choices. There's always choices. And the idea is, as Fernando asked, is to ease yourself into keeping kosher. Ease yourself into it. Don't jump so high, that you're going to fall off, because then you wind up resenting the ladder itself, resenting Judaism, resenting the Bible, resenting God. So ease yourself into it. Very smart of you, Fernando, to ask the question, because you recognize that if you do too much too fast, too soon, you're going to walk away from it. You're not going to. You won't appreciate it.
Got it.
So first step, no pork or pig, and that means in anything.
Yep.
No shellfish. Do that for a while. Do that for a few months, and then say, okay, I'm no longer going to have milk and meat together. Okay, I'm not going to have cheeseburger. I'm going to read packages. I'm going to see if there's milk or milk products in it to know. I'm not going to have, a hamburger with a bun where the bun is made with milk solids. Okay, look at the ingredients. Look for a hechsher. Does it say dairy on it? Okay, and over time, you're going to find a very interesting effect on you when you do this. Okay, every time you put something in your mouth, as I was saying before, nothing makes us more connected to God than eating. Okay, how do we know? Try not eating anything for about 6 months. Okay.
Yeah, that could mess up your whole day for sure.
Yeah, it'll mess up your whole day. So the point is, we know we're reliant on God by everything we eat. So, it makes you think about God every time you put something in your mouth.
Right.
That's the point. It makes us relate to God. So over time, a couple of months later, okay, ease yourself into it. You're going to find yourself stronger as a person. A child who gets invited to a friend's house and they say, hey, we're having pepperoni pizza, whatever. And he says, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I can't eat the pepperoni. So for them, hey, we knew you were coming. We're going to get you a cheese pizza. You tell me if that kid is going to have it easier to say no, because he now has the internal clock that says say no.
Right.
Okay. And somebody, instead of saying pepperoni pizza, says, hey, kid, you want to try marijuana?
Yeah.
Hey, kid, you want some heroin?
Right.
He's already got the ability to say no.
Yep.
Okay. You're going to find yourself to be a stronger person because you are holding on to a discipline, and that's going to have effects on your whole life, not just an occasional meal.
Right.
All right. I hope that was a good
that's
answer,
good.
solid answer.
That's cool. Okay, we'll take this caller. Caller, tell us your name, where you're calling from.
Hi, this is Kelsey from Mingo Junction, Ohio.
Hi, Chelsea. Welcome to the show again. How are you?
Hi.
Hi.
What's the question?
This is actually for my husband.
Okay.
And since you were talking about kosher stuff,
Yep.
When we were fixing our meal earlier today, he realized that the pierogies was dairy, and he was wanting burgers. It's like, yeah, that's meat and dairy. It's like, oh no. It's like, you have the burgers, I'll eat pierogies, we're fine.
Okay, I don't know what a pierogi is.
I
But
hate to say this, but I'm not sure what it is either.
what is a pierogi? Somebody keeps. Oh
Oh.
man, guys, you guys are calling, and while I've got a phone call, I can't take your call. You're gonna have to wait until this call is done before you call back in. I cannot take your call while I'm talking to somebody on the phone. Sorry. Go ahead, Kelsey.
Okay. A pierogi is basically like a filling of some sort in pasta. Like it's boiled and then fried with onions and eaten.
Okay.
Okay,
Polish
boiled
thing,
and fried,
as
so
far
it's
as I
like
know.
it's like a can't think of the
Knish,
name.
maybe?
All right, so
Or a
all right, so
or
you
something like
so
that.
you get the hamburger and he gets the pierogi. Is that what I heard you say?
Yeah.
Okay, that means that he's eating milk and meat and you're not, or it means he's eating the milk and you're eating the meat.
No, he was eating the meat and I was eating the dairy.
Okay, well,
That's fine.
He actually wanted to eat them together.
All right.
But he realized it's like, whoa.
All right, gotcha. So pierogi
right.
is a dairy
and
issue.
I guess that means you
Anyhow.
can't kiss him.
Oh. Oh, y'all are funny. How neat.
And we have kosher toothpaste too.
Oh, how cool. Do you have kosher cat chapstick? I'm just kidding. That's all
Well,
right.
there is.
Anyhow.
Sometimes they no seriously.
That's true.
They use some shellfish and some sort of the for your chapped lips. You got to
Right.
be careful.
Right, that's true. I never thought about that.
I think they
Okay.
use shellfish in the
That's
production of
technically
lipstick
not why I
too.
called in.
Okay, so she didn't call in to find out that Altoids have pig gelatin in them. So,
Right. Yes.
what was your call? You called in for what? What was your
Okay.
question?
Okay, the real reason why I called in is that my husband has been wondering about in the Garden of Eden, who or what is the snake?
Cool.
It's probably been covered before, but he hasn't had it, and he's actually ready to listen, and I told him he can catch this on replay.
Oh,
So.
cool. That'd be fun talking about it again. All right,
All right,
Kelsey.
but I got to tell you, he's not going to like my answer. My answer is 3 words. It's a snake. I mean, seriously. There's one commentary that I read. Me'amlo es, and you're going to ask me where and when and who, and I can't remember it. But 99% of the commentaries I've read in my own limited way, only one of them ever made the even remote connection between the snake and a devil satanic figure. Every other commentary I have ever seen, it's a snake.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, let me ask you a question. If I'm having a good cup of bourbon or whatever, and I say, William, I know you're, I know you don't like the taste, but come on, just have a little bourbon. Have a little bourbon or what? Does that make me the devil?
No, not at all.
Of course not.
No.
I may be leading you into temptation. Woo. Okay, but it doesn't make me a devil. Well, the snake is a snake. Okay.
Right.
Like snake in the grass. Okay, and he's trying to do something that's not nice and mean and whatever. But it doesn't make him a Satan. It doesn't make him a devil. It doesn't make him a demon.
Very true. That's a
So
good point.
that's
the short
99% of
answer.
the time that I've seen. I'm sorry, what?
I said that's the short answer right there.
That's the short answer right
Yeah.
there.
It really doesn't require a long answer. Now another question may, but that particular question has a very short answer. Very good, Kelsey. Thanks for calling in. That's good to talk to you again.
Yep.
Tell your husband hi for us.
Yep.
Okay.
Please
bye-bye.
do.
Yeah, he's off to work.
All right.
No.
All right.
Okay.
Take care. Bye bye.
Labor.
Bye-bye.
Yep.
Okay, we had a couple calls. I wonder if these were. Let me see if they left a message. I told them I would try to do that. That's 49 seconds. So let's see what this is.
Hi, William. I just didn't know this wasn't live, and you had asked viewers to call in, and I was doing you and Rabbi Federow. I just wanted to let you, Federow, I just wanted to let you know I really appreciate you having him on.
Thank you.
He expresses things with his clarity and his preciseness is just exceptional and unique. And just love hearing the man.
We'll take this and we'll answer that. Caller, welcome to the show. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from. In a few seconds. Can you hear us now, caller? I can.
Hello?
Yes, you are live. How are you?
Hi, my name's Amy, and I'm with my husband, Brock. And,
Hi, Amy. Hi, Brock.
We've been listening to your show, and he's actually helped me because I am a convert to Judaism.
Okay.
Welcome.
He's been... Huh?
I said welcome.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, anyway, we've been in East Missouri, and we've been up to the Nyamuna Conservative Synagogue.
Yes,
And
yes, in St. Louis.
Yes, and I just wanted to say that after you've talked to my husband and after I've been up to the synagogue, I have really had my eyes open to how Judaism is such a big part of the world, and I just think it's amazing. And
I agree.
I wanted to thank you guys for talking to my husband and for helping me, because after watching you guys talk to him, it's actually helped me to understand it is a much more important thing than I ever thought it was. So, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for calling in.
And I just wanted to thank you guys, and again, thank you so much for the advice you gave my husband and everything for helping him.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, and
We're phone calls away. We're only a phone call away.
Yes, you are. And my husband wanted to tell you that that his family is not letting him talk to his sister still, but he did try.
Hey, that's all you can do.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So I wanted to thank you guys, and I hope you guys have a blessed evening.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know, on that note, the whole idea of Jews not proselytizing is very key. You know, I mean, Christians go and they really will try to push you to convert. Well, and with Judaism, it's like people ask questions, you answer their questions, or if you want to drop a seed here and there, that's perfect. But you're not obligated or even required under any circumstances to go back to a person at all and try to convince them of anything. You give them information. If they take it, they take it. If they don't, they don't. You know, so.
William, the basic attitude of Judaism, going back all the way to Deuteronomy chapter 4, I believe, is we don't care what you believe.
Right.
Okay? Just leave us alone.
Exactly.
Let's do our thing. Okay?
That's true. That is true.
Deuteronomy. Wait, give me a second. This is going to take a couple seconds. But
hey, take your couple seconds. I want to finish playing this recording. Somebody called in, and I think
all right. Well, I'm looking for this.
Okay.
It's as clear as a bell to me, at least.
Right. So the person called in, and they thought we were live, but then they thought that this wasn't a live show, but it actually is. So if you're listening to yourself on this voice message, call back in. Last four numbers 9116. That's who we played this message from.
Hi, William. With his clarity and his preciseness so much. Your interviews with him so much.
Okay, I thought there was a question attached to it, but there wasn't. That's okay. All right. Did you find it already?
Okay.
If not, I'll play
it's
another
Deuteronomy
one.
chapter 4, verse 19.
Okay, I'll pull
it's an admonition. I'm sorry, what?
I'll pull that up right now.
Okay, it's an admonition of God through Moses to the Jewish people, telling them when you take over the promised land, do not become like the people who live there. Don't start doing what they do. Don't start worshiping me like they worshiped their God. Okay? And then it says the following, Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 19. Unless you lift up your eyes to heaven, and when you see the sun, the moon, and the stars, all the hosts of heaven, that you be drawn away to worship them and serve them, which the eternal your God has given to the peoples of the whole under the whole heaven. which your God has given to the peoples under the whole heaven.
Interesting.
Okay, God gave it to them. They can have it. Not you. You're Jews. You've got me. You've got God. You've got God. They can have their sun, moon, and stars, their paganism, their idolatry. Not you. You got me.
Right, and that should lead
and
right
I think
into...
that expresses the basic attitude of Judaism. Look, we'd rather the whole world were believers in God. We wish the whole world were what we call ethical monotheists, belief in one God and the God-ordained ethics that go along with that. Okay, we'd welcome them if they come to us, and I believe we should be open-armed. I think we should be putting ads in newspapers about every single class in every single synagogue that says, hey, if you're looking for a religion that's a great religion, makes sense.
Right.
It's not only very practical, it's very practicable. Okay, try Judaism. Come to our classes. We open up to anybody who wants to listen and learn from us. Okay, but that's not the same thing as going on a street corner and haranguing people and telling them they're going to go damn to hell if they don't become Jews. We don't believe in that.
Right.
But basic attitude, Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 19.
And
they can have it. It's theirs. Just leave us alone.
And in fact, that should go with Deuteronomy 13, just as a coupled context. It's a test to see whether or not we're going to serve God or not. And people want to know, why would Christianity succeed and do all this stuff? It's a test.
Right. When they come to us, and even if their miracles happen, miracles don't prove the messenger.
Right.
Only if the message is in consonance with what you already know from God do you accept the prophet who gave you the message. But,
okay, Kelsey Lynn asked what chapter, if she's talking about the 4:19 of Deuteronomy or chapter 13 of Deuteronomy. Those are the two we discussed.
No, I was quoting chapter
4.
I was quoting Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 19.
That's what I just said. And so,
yes.
And then
if you take a look, beginning with verse 15, okay, it's trying to distinguish between Judaism and the pagan religions of that day,
right,
that they were going to rub elbows with in the promised land. And he says, basically, don't do what they do. Don't see how they worship their gods.
Right.
Don't worship me the same way. They have their way. That's their way, not your way. You've got me.
Yep, very true. Another question popped up on chat.
Okay.
By the way, first of all, a comment by Dorlian Attar. He says, we have to get the Jews Jewish and to be a light to the nations. Absolutely cool. Question by, I thought it was EVW. Let me find the question. It says, who is a snake in Ezekiel? The serpent in Ezekiel. Where's that question? I just saw it a second ago.
No, it's Craig Power.
Oh, yeah.
The serpent in Ezekiel. But I got to tell you something. I'm not exactly quite sure what he's referring to.
Craig, give us the chapter and verse if you don't mind, sir. I would appreciate that. Let's see. Oh, that's cool. Another reference in Micah 4:5 from someone said that it kind of confirmed the same thing with Deuteronomy 4:19. Okay, so Ezekiel 28 is
doing a quick search. I don't have the word serpent in the book of
Ezekiel 29:3. Yes.
What is it?
29:3.
Hold it a minute. Wait a minute.
I can't see my.
Ezekiel what?
29:3.
29.
Behold, I am against thee. Blah, blah, blah. I have no idea. I don't see that in 29:3 actually.
Here it's translated as either dragon. Okay, wait a minute. Let me just give me a second. Okay.
Are you in 29:3?
Melech Mitzrayim.
Oh yeah, I guess you are. King of Egypt, right? The dragon. Maybe that's the
I
great
don't see
dragon.
the word snake in the Hebrew either.
It may be the dragon word that he's speaking of. So in Hebrew, let's see, that's verse 3.
Tanim, I think is.
BHS, where are you? Right there.
The great Tanim. Hatanim Hagadol.
Okay.
Let's see.
Hatanim, right here, yeah. Well, it does say serpent/sea monster, so it can be translated either way. But of course, serpent in Hebrew is specifically a certain word. So, right?
Right, and sea monster could be, what's it called? A whale. It could be a. I don't know who it's supposed to be. Okay.
Right.
And by the way, Look at the context of 39:3, or actually, that's not the context, it's the verse itself. Speak and say, thus says the eternal God, behold, I am against you, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, the great dragon that lies in the midst of his rivers, has said, my river is mine own. In other words, the verse itself
tells him that the king is
making a connection between the Pharaoh, king of Egypt, as if it were a dragon lying in the midst of the rivers saying, I own this river, I own this river.
Right, that's a good point.
And
good point.
It's making what's it called? An analogy with Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, as if the king of Egypt is saying, this is my land. No, it's God's land. Sorry. So I'm not sure where he was going with that or what he meant by it. Sorry.
That's okay. It
may Not much help am I. Sorry.
Actually, that may have been just one of those scenarios where you hear a word was in there and your memory doesn't remember what it was about.
No, but the point is that even if it was snake, it's still referring to the king of Egypt, the Pharaoh himself, and likening the king to the snake or whatever in the middle of the river who says, this is my river. Well, it's not yours. Sorry.
Right. Interesting.
It means the king, the Pharaoh of Egypt, saying, this land is mine. Sorry, it's God's.
Interesting.
So I'm not sure where he was going with that.
Very strange.
Sorry, I couldn't be much help.
That is okay in my book. Okay, cool.
No, I can't find it.
That's okay. I can't.
Who was it who said that? Who asked the question?
Good to see you, Brother Kirk. That was a Charles, I think, or somebody like that. I'm going back to see it here. Craig, I'm sorry, Craig Power. Who is the serpent in his?
I'm sorry, Craig. I'm sorry, Craig. Yeah. Wait, the dragon doesn't do any talking. He's making an analogy between the dragon and the Pharaoh, like a dragon or a whale, or like a whale would say, "This is my ocean."
Craig, you need to call in. Craig has got a series. There you go. That may be him. We'll find out. Welcome to the show. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from.
Oh, hi. My name is Michelle.
Hey, Michelle. How are you?
Calling from Sterling Heights, Michigan.
Welcome to the show.
Good, thank you. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Thank you.
Thank God. How are you doing?
Well, I love you guys. I love your show. I'm an avid listener and follower of you guys. I do have a comment, and I hope you guys won't mind discussing it. I am one of those people who like people to come to Judaism and not necessarily converting Orthodox. There is no reason to push away people if they want to become Hebraic Reform or conservative. I would rather them become conservative or Reform than Noahide. Noahide is actually a rabbinical term. It's not a biblical term. However, I do appreciate.
Sir, you blanked out. What's not a biblical term? I didn't hear you.
Noahide. The term Noahide is not. It's a rabbinical term. He said.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I might be wrong. I'm just voicing my thought. So to me, like we have a synagogue that is mixed. We are egalitarian synagogue, and we have people who are coming to us, and we do, refer them to Reform or conservative. It's impossible for them to really become Orthodox. We have only one couple who came to us, and after a couple of years, they decided to do it Orthodox, and we are very proud of them. And they moved actually near the Chabad synagogue to pursue the conversion. So I'd just like to know your thought about conservative or Reform conversion.
Okay, Michelle, let me tell you something very quickly. Okay. I have a Orthodox background growing up in Springfield, Missouri, as Orthodox as that could have ever been. We had one building that housed two congregations. My family was on the Orthodox side. We davened out of the Birnbaum prayer book, all Hebrew, no English. Okay, my father's business was closed on Shabbat. My home was strictly kosher. We got our meat from mainly from St. Louis, sometimes from Chicago, sometimes even from Kansas City. My point is that I come from at least somewhat, whatever you want to call it, Orthodox background. I was ordained a Reform rabbi, and I am serving a congregation that's conservative.
Wonderful.
Okay, so my point is I've never pretended to be Orthodox. My emotional sympathies are with Orthodoxy, but intellectually, I guess you would say I'm I don't know what I am. I don't belong anywhere is the truth. Okay. And the point I'm raising by saying this is I don't disagree with you in any way, shape, or form. Okay. When a person start over, there are many people that I have converted to Judaism, telling them point blank, your conversion with me will not be accepted by an Orthodox rabbi or an Orthodox community. Okay, from the first day they know this, because I am Reform ordained. Okay, I'm considered a Reform rabbi, even though I'm serving a conservative congregation. But many people, and I'm not exaggerating, I'm not joking, of the people that I have brought to Judaism or who came to Judaism through me, have gone on in their lives for an Orthodox conversion. And if you take a look at the statistics, okay, of the people who are joining Orthodox congregations, they're not coming to the Orthodox by and large. Yes, you can point out individuals. I'm not saying there isn't individuals, but by and large, they had a Reform or conservative upbringing, and something in Reform or conservative upbringing sparked them to want more, and led them to the Orthodox community. So if you really take a look at the people who are becoming Baal Tshuva, more observant with their lives and moving into an Orthodox lifestyle and community, okay, they're not coming from the secular, okay, they're not coming from atheists, they're coming from Reform and conservative backgrounds who want more and therefore go get it in the Orthodox community. I think that the Orthodox community has shot themselves in the foot, okay, and I'm going to be really pissing people off by making this statement, but they're probably already mad at me anyway for having a show. Thank you, William, for keeping me on.
One more comment, please, if you
wait.
don't mind.
Let me finish the statement, okay? Michelle, let me just
go ahead.
Let me just finish the statement, please, and then I'll be happy to shut up and listen. But I think that the Orthodox community shoots themselves in the foot because whether they like it or not, whether they want to admit it or not, there are in fact some people who are leaving Orthodoxy, leaving Hasidic Judaism, and moving into a non-Orthodox lifestyle. But because from birth they've been told how horrible the Reform is, how horrible the conservative is, how horrible anybody who's not Orthodox is, they wind up going out of the Orthodox community to nothing. And therefore their children become nothing, and their grandchildren know even less. That, oh yeah, I think I had a great grandparent who might have been a rabbi. Okay, I think I had a great grandparent who was in the Orthodox community. Okay, if they would teach a different attitude towards the non-Orthodox, it might allow their children, few and far between, however many do this, leave Orthodoxy, come to conservative or Reform, and then their children, having that spark, will go back into Orthodoxy. So I agree with you completely. Okay, you want to have people who have the similar values as we do. Okay, you want more Jews in the pews? Make more Jews. So I happen to agree with you. And the back of my car puts my money where my mouth is. I believe the Jewish community should be open-armed to people who want to convert to Judaism, whatever kind of Judaism they want, even Judaisms I don't agree with. Okay.
Of course.
Okay, but at least it's a step in the right direction.
All right, closing thoughts. Go ahead.
The goal is for people to come to Hashem and His
exactly.
Torah.
Exactly right. And the way in which
we all cannot be the same type. That could be a very different type of Jewish people, but we have to be Hashem lovers and love His Torah.
Could not agree with you more. Okay, remember something. When Rambam, when Maimonides came out with his 13 Articles of Faith, he had a rebellion on his hands because other Jews disagreed with him. Okay, when not only did you have the Hasidic community, you had the Mitnagdim community.
Right.
Mitnagdim means those who are against. What were they against? Hasidism. Okay, we are not and have never been as monolithic as people would like to portray us as having been. What happened is that in the 1700s, when you had the Enlightenment, when you had the Reformation, when you had the concept of evolution with Darwinism, okay, that 1800s period, people, you had a movement towards, start over, you had different assumptions made. Up until that period, all the assumptions of the Jewish community, in whatever form they were in, were still the same. It didn't matter if it was Mitnagdim or Hasidim, doesn't mean it was Rambam or the people who were against the Rambam, disagreed with him. The assumptions they made were the same. With the Enlightenment, the Jewish community, being allowed out of the ghetto, changed their assumptions about things. And that allowed for the existence of the non-Orthodox Jewish community. But those non-Orthodox Jewish communities, to justify and validate themselves, actually looked at rabbinic writings to justify what they were doing. So when they had the service not just in Hebrew but in the local language, okay. So in France they had it not just in Hebrew but French, okay. They looked to the Talmud where it says a person should be able to pray in their own language, their mother tongue. Okay. They validated what they were already doing. Remember something: rabbis didn't lead services until the modern period. Lay people led services. Lay people modernized the service, not the reformer or conservative rabbis. It's only after the lay people started modernizing the service, streamlining it, getting rid of repetitions, having a sermon read every week, given every week, that the rabbis themselves started validating what their lay people had already changed. And the whole idea was, we'd better do something because people are now being allowed out of the ghetto and they're not coming back. And if we're going to keep them Jewish, we had better give them an alternative to the Judaism of the ghetto and the shtetl. And that's exactly what happened and why Reform and Conservative were created. Okay, and Reform and Conservative Jews are probably screaming at me, "Wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong," but I'm not. Pick up a book and study it. Okay, the purpose and function of the Reform and Conservative movement, where people were leaving Orthodoxy all the time back then. I'm not talking now. I'm talking 200 years ago, 150 years ago. And so the creation of the liberal movements of Judaism would grab them, they left Judaism altogether. Okay, give them a place so that their children or grandchildren would go back into it, and that's exactly what happens. So I couldn't agree with you more.
All right.
The point, one of the assumptions of Judaism, I'm sorry, William, I'm ranting and raving, but the point is that, if the purpose of the latter, we just said this 45 minutes ago, if the purpose of the latter is to communicate and commune with God, okay, to elevate us towards God, that's the purpose of the 613 rung ladder, okay, then as long as a Judaism understands themselves as having the ladder and sees that ladder as important, sometimes emphasizing some, sometimes emphasizing another collection of the mitzvot, but nevertheless they're mitzvot, they're commandment. There's a mitzvah commander and there's a mitzvah commandment. Then, as long as that's there, why not?
Right. All right, let's go ahead and take this caller. Caller, welcome to the show. Please tell us
William,
your
we're going to
name.
get a lot of crap for this one.
Well, we try to keep this show New Testament related, so when you call in, try to keep your questions focused on the New Testament.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to have to edit this last part out.
So, caller, please tell me your name, where you're calling from.
Hello?
Yes, you are live on Tanakh Doc. What's your name?
Yes, my name's Brock. I'm from Southeast Missouri.
Hey, Brock, your wife just called in, right?
Yes, she did.
Okay, good. Welcome. Good to hear your voice. Tell us what's going on.
Yes, I actually just had a quick question about different sects of Judaism.
Okay, we're gonna let him answer it since we've already made half the show about Judaism. But yes, we'll just go with it. Go ahead, ask your question.
All right. For several years, I tried to convert through the Orthodox means, and because I could not move up to an Orthodox area, none of them would allow it until I finally found a conservative one that would allow it. Why would the Orthodox not really hear me out is all I was wanting to know.
Okay. The litmus test, you know what a litmus test is?
Not really.
Hello? Okay. In chemistry, a litmus test is like the one test something has to pass. It's like the most important thing of all. Okay, a litmus test is a test of, I think, the acidity, the pH level. I don't remember anymore my chemistry. But the point is that the term is used for, like, this is the real test to see how really, truly, totally committed you really, really are. Okay, so the litmus test for the Orthodox community on a person's converting is going to be, are you willing to do everything you have to do to move to a Orthodox area where you can walk to services? Because if you're really committed, you should sell your home, change jobs, get a different business, whatever you have to do in order to live near a Orthodox community so you can walk to services. And if you're not willing to do that, you've already talked yourself out of being converted. Because in Orthodox Judaism, you don't ride to services. You don't. It's long and involved. It has to do with the 39 malachot, the 39 ways in which the word work is defined. Okay, which includes lighting a fire. What are you doing when you turn the ignition on? You're causing gasoline to explode. Oops, there's a fire. The point is that you can't ride on Shabbat. So if you're really committed to the mitzvot, then one of the commandments is don't light a fire on Shabbat, don't ride on Shabbat. Oops, driving a car. So if you're really committed to the commandments, and we know about riding on Shabbat, then one of the commandments you should be observing is moving close enough to our synagogue so you do not have to ride to Shabbat, or to services. That's what they're thinking.
All right.
Remember something, and it's a very important point, okay? An Orthodox rabbi does not convert someone to Judaism. He converts them to Orthodox Judaism. And until such time as a person is acting in every way, shape, or form like any other Orthodox Jew, they're not ready for conversion. So if an Orthodox Jew doesn't ride on the Sabbath, but you're still riding on the Sabbath because you won't move close enough, then clearly you're not accepting all the mitzvot. You can't convert.
I guess that makes pretty good sense.
You follow what I said?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Okay. I would remind you.
I'm saying
Go ahead.
I'm saying it makes pretty good sense, what you're saying.
Well, and that's why the conservative and the reform, look at things differently. Yes, they would both rather you didn't ride on the Sabbath. But until such time as you are in a situation where you can walk to services, okay, you slowly we just said this an hour ago. You slowly put yourself on the ladder, acknowledge that there's a ladder that exists, and over time you climb the ladder of 613 rungs. If you didn't hear that part of our discussion tonight.
All right, well,
conservative and reform will give you more room and more time and hope you grow into it. Mm-hmm. But they still both hope you do it.
Brock, I hope that answered your question, brother.
It does. Thank you very much.
Okay, man. Have a good night. Bye-bye. And that is going to wrap us up, Rabbi.
William, you think that we'll survive this episode?
Well,
of,
hey, just I
TNT?
want to make this I want to make this declaration to all the viewers out there. Let's keep TNT, Twisted New Testament, about the New Testament. Any other questions? Honestly, any other questions that have to do with Judaism or thing, I'm going to refer you out to another video with Rabbi Tovia Singer, because that's what he's for. So this is strictly a New Testament thing, or you can email.
It's supposed to be, but it hasn't been for a while.
Yeah, I know. We need to kind of try to keep things orderly, though, in that manner. So
means we have to do.
What does that mean?
It means that we have to start with about 5 questions we know we're going to cover each week and about the New Testament.
Yes.
And therefore they can't call in with the questions.
There you go.
That they ask. You know.
Yep. That's funny. I enjoy talking about it, but I guess different shows for different things. So, but Rabbi, I tell you what, it's been fun. It's good to see all you people out there, all you viewers. Thanks for tuning in. There's a couple, about 35 that was live and active tonight. I had to, listen. Here's the thing. I had to block some guy, this Craig guy, on YouTube chat. I'm watching this stuff. I don't care what faith you are. I don't care if you're Muslim, Hindu. I don't care if you're Oprah Winfrey. I don't know what it is. I'm just saying I don't care what your religion is. You can ask questions. You can comment. But the moment you start acting like a butthead, I will block you, or I will have somebody else block you. So don't come on here trolling, being rude. If you want to just talk and converse, be humane about it, man. Don't be a jerk. That's stuff that when I see it, I will not accept it. I will not tolerate it. And then you can go and tell all your friends how we blocked you because we didn't want to hear the truth. Yeah, whatever. So just keep that in mind. If you're being a jerk on this show, on the chat, you will be blocked. And I will appoint admins to oversee this thing so that when I can't, they will see this stuff. So be nice. Be nice. Be nice. That's all I got to say about that. So, oh, man. Rabbi, it's been crazy. It's been fun. But we've got to get gone because dinner is done.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
Wife is sitting there next to me eating a big old fat tuna steak, and I'm just look at oh my gosh,
tuna.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so we're going to call that we're going to call that a wrap, and we'll see you guys. First, let me log off of this thing because if I don't, it's going to kick it off anyway and make some weird sounds. Log out. Very good. And yeah, and that's a wrap. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time. 2 weeks from now. Same time, same place, 8 p.m. Tuesday nights. No, Monday night. I don't even know what the day is. So, but
it's Labor Day Monday.
Hey, but tune in tomorrow night too, because tomorrow night we're doing. I think tomorrow night is Kosher Kitchen. Wednesday night will be Controversial Issues with Rabbi Kaufman. Thursday night we're going to have Shlomo Phillips back on talking about world religions, and then so hope you guys can catch them all. Rabbi, love you, man. We'll see you guys soon.
I love you too.
Take care. Shalom, shalom.
כולם ביחד, חשוב מכל חשוב והכרחי להיות ביחד. איפוק זו העוצמה, ויתור זו הגדולה, השאיפה והכמיהה. אני אתה אתם תמיד תמיד כולם ביחד, חשוב מכל חשוב